Hi, I'm Zach.
Hi, I'm Patricia.
And we're filmmakers that are taking on topics that a lot of people are dealing with, but not necessarily talking honestly about or talking about at all. A lot of what we found out is definitely not what you'd be expecting to hear. So this show is going to be interesting because we've decided to take on the topic of casual sex.
We feel that what we tend to often see and hear in our culture is a very heavy one-sided message. And so we went out and spoke to all kinds of people from all walks of life. And we also spoke with a few professionals to help us get a better perspective on this topic.
Now, this project is not about our opinion or about trying to sway you one way or the other when it comes to casual sex. We just want to share with you some of the information that we've learned through this process about casual sex so that you're better able to make decisions for yourself. We started out on the beach asking some people, what does Hollywood say about sex?
Yeah.
Sex sells. I think that in music videos, it is more about portraying women as sex objects, you know, like having hot girls dancing.
To reveal the bad vision of sex.
That's okay to do.
All the time?
All the time.
Anywhere.
Yeah. Anytime.
With whoever?
Whoever.
They play it out like when teenagers are doing it, oh, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal.
You can find whoever you want and just be able to have sex with whoever you want.
People who are more sexually active, they're making money, they're perceived as having a good life.
Media now just portrays sex as no one has feelings attached, and I just think that's really not a great message to send to everyone.
I think our culture just says it's part of life, it's part of almost nature, it's natural to experiment, to have multiple partners, and to not really be concerned with that. It's just like a thing that we all do.
Like, for example, dogs in the street, you know? Right. Maybe they have good time, and it's the same thing, and you get a good time.
We as humans know that there is a higher calling on our lives, and there is something very special about that.
In Hollywood it happens, oh, two young people fall in love, they're gonna have sex in a car somewhere over the sunset. So it's very romanticized and glamified.
I mean, I haven't had sex like that. I haven't had fireworks going off in my background, you know what I mean? Like I haven't had that.
The media portrays that their sex life is what everyone's sex life should be. What they portray on the TV set or in the movies is what good sex looks like.
You know, you walk down to any local shop and you see all those glossy magazines, and every one of them has the latest sex tip. And there's like 4,001 sex tips, and this will make everything. And it's like, how is it that even possible that every week there's something new?
We have, magazines like Cosmo that tell us, how to have sex correctly and what we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to look like.
It creates a false expectation. All the scenarios I'm guessing that they come up with in those types of things, they're not real and they don't really happen, and nor could you probably perform like you would think you can all night long. Those things are just ridiculous.
Yep. Females have to be a certain way and males have to be a certain way too. So the problem with that is that we're both expected to act a certain way, and we're disappointed when we meet someone. It's not that this idea that we have, instead of, we could be compatible, but you don't do all the cute things that, say, Ryan Gosling does in whatever movie, and you don't kiss me in the rain. And
I feel that we are expected to walk and talk and look a certain way, and we end up feeling bad about ourselves. We end up feeling like we're not good enough. We don't have something to offer. When I was first having sex, I was trying to be that girl that in the movies has sex and wakes up looking fabulous and walks out of the door not feeling anything and not caring if he calls. But yeah, that's not true. That is not reality. I cared every time. I looked like when I woke up. I constantly felt bad because I wasn't that of what I saw.
If somebody really was fulfilled and content with a certain act of sex in a certain place and it was always routine, but that was good for them, no one has a right to tell them that's not a good sex life. If it's fulfilling for them, that's all that matters.
You watch on TV, like sex almost every single night comes up, way out of proportion to any other topic at all. And so it pervades a culture of thinking everybody does it and it's just one of those things, and it's actually laughable in a lot of shows. We know the reality that it's not laughable at all.
The media makes it seem like, oh, you're just going to get together and have sex and everything is going to be wonderful and glorious and everything it should be the first time. Well, that's not the truth.
I would challenge you to really place value on your sex life.
So it seems like almost everybody that we talk to agree that Hollywood's view on sex and their view on sex doesn't mesh at all together. I know personally, as much as I would like sex to last all night long,
Doesn't happen.
it really doesn't. I mean, you see it on TV, in the movies where it's insinuated that it does.
This segment really makes me wonder how many of us are actually influenced by what we see when we know that's not reality.
Now that we know what Hollywood's view is on sex, we wanted to get personal. We wanted to find out what your view on sex is.
I don't think there are rules to live by. Well, I'm not really a religious person, so there are no guidelines for me. I think it's cool.
I couldn't do casual sex now just because I want the emotional connection. As I know what I want, if it's harder to walk up to a guy and say, hey, let's casually hook up and then I'm never gonna see you tomorrow. No, it's gonna be upsetting. Like, I wanna hold you in the morning and I wanna hang out with you and get to know you.
How about you?
I think it's a big deal too.
I'd rather have it mean something than more like just a one night stand.
I think it's intimate between two people.
Well, it's fun and it feels good. It's, you know, a personal bonding sort of thing.
Yeah, it's more satisfying when it's with someone that you care about.
I think it's something special that you should hold off for someone, but that's not really the way it's portrayed anymore.
It's an intimate thing, you know, when you meet someone. Yeah, pleasure.
Pleasure to share intimacy?
Yeah,
What's more important of the two?
To have a baby.
No.
So what's more important of the three?
Should we kick her out?
It's a good thing, it's a good feeling for everybody.
This no strings attached sex, does that really exist?
Yes and no.
What do you think?
I think that for a man, that is much easier than a woman. And I think that because I do want to know that I know at least something, the last name of the person that I'm just slept with.
There's been times when I didn't just have casual sex, but I dated, right? Like, 2, 3 different people at the same time because they fulfill different needs, right? Like, I'm a busy girl, right? Like, I got lots of things to do.
If I was just go find a girl at a bar, probably just her and then that's it. You don't really care about her, so to say, you just care about her.
Can't imagine sleeping with someone and feeling like they don't care at least a bit at all. Like, I don't like that.
If that's what you're into, you make your own decision.
Whatever floats your boat.
I'm married. So I'm not about casual sex.
Sex should just be about enjoying yourself and being free.
It's a pleasure. But when you drink a good beverage, you get pleasure. When you have sex, you get pleasure.
It's sacred, right? But it's like not good to be casual. Sex is fine. You don't very fun. It's very unless fine. You're Catholic, because you can't have sex out of marriage, or it's only for having kids. You drink too much. No, you drink too much. It's true. Catholics are like that. They're so strict. Yeah.
But you're not.
I am Catholic.
I think that oftentimes when people hear that you're a Christian, maybe the first thing they think is, okay, you're anti this or anti-sex. And they don't really see that as a Christian, we believe that God has an original design, an intent, and a plan for us to live by, and we choose to live that way. There's just benefits.
Guys have to work so much harder to have sex. Yeah. So much harder.
Okay, why do you say that?
Because they have to buy food, to woo the woman, and do something. Yes. Yeah, to get the girl to even like
So you guys have to get wined and dined before you'll dive in.
No. Even wine and dine, that, no. It takes a lot.
I know many people that want to have sex before they get married so that they can see whether or not this person's a fit for them or not, or whether the mechanics of it works. First of all, one of the dangers about that is it's not relational. It's sexual. So the basis of your long-term relationship is being based on the goodness of your sex life. And that's very dangerous.
So I think what we found most interesting at the beach while talking to people was really best summed up by our host, Matt.
I'm surprised that so many of them actually were like, no, I wait, or it's special to me. Even the people that were like, yeah, casual sex is cool, when you really drill down, they were like, yeah, casual sex is cool, but I still need it to mean something.
You know, I find it fascinating that even though people want to have sex inside of a committed, meaningful relationship, culture and society is pressuring us to not only be okay with casual sex, but also to engage in it as well.
We have this idea that everybody is doing it. And when we see it that way, it increases the pressure on us.
I've had one sex partner.
Your whole life?
I'm 21. Yeah, it was last year. I'm a late bloomer, but while I was with her, it was only her, and it was more than enough.
What seems to be an increase in casual sex, like everybody's doing this. Where did that really come from? Well, it's really not new. It actually goes all the way back to the 1960s and sexual revolution. It has just become more open and overt. I think it was more underground before that. The problem with it is that it's very self-centered. It's completely about my immediate gratification, and it's non-relational.
I think more people really are more relationship people still today than they will admit. But it's society and what most people are doing that leads to the shame to admit that. You know, it's not cool. It really is not cool to be someone who's like...
Do you feel ashamed for not having a lot of partners?
I wish I'd had more experience, but for the type of person I am, I don't.
Then why do you wish you've had more experience?
I think maybe because that's what everybody else is doing. I mean, this is the pressure of society. It's hard for me to not think of myself as a strange, because I am different than most people in this regard.
Actually, most people, to begin with, I don't think are completely honest about their sexuality, because for some reason there's a stigma about being a virgin or not having experimented. And I think that it creates a perception and a bit of a culture where we just sort of we're not really honest about it. Most people are only honest about their escapades, aren't they? You know, oh, I've been with all these people. It creates this perpetual culture of, you know, a mindset that everybody's up to it. There's a lot of non-Christians who choose to save themselves, which is fantastic because they actually just see the value in it.
The 50% of the people that are interviewed want to have a lifelong partner. The casual hookup is like 50-50. So you may feel like odd person out, but there's at least 50% of you out there that have that same mindset.
Just because there's a lot of loud voices in society, it doesn't mean they are good voices. I went to a financial seminar a while ago, and they kept on asking questions to the audience, and this guy kept on yelling out these answers, and they sounded like great answers, and every time he was wrong. And it got increasingly more embarrassing for him and everybody else sort of watching him. But it's a little picture of we think that just because it's a loud voice, it's the correct voice, and it's not.
I continue to do it because my friends were doing it. I felt pressure. That's what people do. You're in college and, you know, you hear these stories. Oh, I just got laid and oh, this and that and oh, he's fine and whatever. So I felt I wanted to do that. I felt that's what I should be doing. So that's what I did.
I think the pressure kept me from having sex for the longest time. I really think so, you know, as strange as that is, because I think for most people it probably works the other way. They say they're just going to get it over. It was purely an objectification thing, I remember at a young age. So how many girls are you getting? So, you know, how do you do with girls? Have you, you know, done this or that lately? I hate it when people say get pussy. I just think that is the most objectifying phrase I've ever heard to distill a human being down to a body part. But for a lot of people of a certain age, I know we're talking, that is what it is. I mean, who cares that there's a person attached to it? The vagina is like what you're going after. And that was such a turnoff to me that I think I saw this type of person as someone that I didn't want to be.
You get a bunch of guys sort of in a sports team, whatever, in the locker room, they're always exchanging ridiculous stories. I played sports my entire life, and I definitely believe most people are given to exaggeration. No one is being real with that because it's a very private thing.
I think this segment on pressure was extremely important because we were able to see how someone like Jonah has struggled with just being honest about his experience or the fact that he doesn't even like the hookup culture.
Well, that's the problem. It seems like most people aren't comfortable talking about their sex life or about whether they engage in casual sex or whether they even like it or not, because Hollywood and culture is constantly pressuring us that we need to be doing it. So of course people don't want to be different. They don't want to say they're not doing it when everybody else is saying they're doing it. So what do? They often lie about it. So since society and culture is telling us one thing about sex, the question is that really the best way?
I think you can totally have sex with somebody and not really know them or care about them. I mean...
Have you done it?
Yeah.
And not called and not cared that they didn't call?
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Oh yeah, nice.
Do you think people have sex and then choose to allow that to lead them into a relationship? Or those feelings associated with? It's not biological?
To repress the relationship feelings. Sounds healthy, right?
I don't think that you can choose to be emotional. I think it just is. You just are.
If turning off your emotions becomes a habit, then like any other habit, it's going to take some significant and serious work in order to break it.
I associate casual sex and the whole idea behind it with just a quick sense of gratification. Like it's almost like pornography, and there are dangers to that.
One of those is you find your life partner and they think, I'm going to have sex and it's going to be great because now I'm committed to this person, they're committed to me. Now their mind and body and emotions won't respond the way they were originally designed because they've reprogrammed it.
Even psychological studies have shown that guys actually think of the long-term relationship more so than girls do.
Even if it's something casual, you're kind of subconsciously wondering like, okay, is this going to turn into more magically like in that movie where they hook up and they're like, oh, we're in love?
There's the whole idea of, like you should wait till marriage, but a lot of certain people consider being gay an abomination anyway. So, to some gay people, it's like, why wait? We're already kind of sinning.
I mean, I want to get married.
Would you wait till marriage?
No. No, probably not. I don't know when I'm going to get married. Like, it could be like 20 years from now.
What made you happier? When sex was delinked from a relationship or when sex is part of a relationship?
I haven't had sex with a relationship.
Ever?
Ever.
Have you ever had great sex?
No, I wouldn't say no.
Our culture puts so much emphasis on sex that we attach our happiness to it. That is why people think, well, what if we get married and I haven't done it enough for other people, and what if I'm not very good? It's the complete wrong view of what it is to have sex in a relationship, because it's something you grow and learn together.
I can't believe that being with multiple people can be more fulfilling.
If casual sex was a better way, then you would expect us to have a very low divorce rate. The truth is the divorce rate in America is 50-50. And the 50% who are still married are not in bliss.
Look at those odds. Why would you want to get married? I think you got to be pretty delusional to want to get married.
Hey.
To know those odds and still think,
You want to get married?
I want to get married. Okay, I'm a child growing up from a single mother, and I would want my kid to have their dad there, and I feel like marriage is one of those things where okay, yeah, I'm committing to you, I am going to be here, and just because it hasn't worked with all the other people, the other 50%, doesn't mean it won't work for me.
Would you be committed to someone that you wouldn't have great sex with?
No.
So sex is like the ultimate factor in whether or not you're in a great relationship.
It's one of them that's up there, yeah.
I don't think anyone should get married if the sex isn't, that's a huge part of a relationship.
Sex is not everything your relationship is built on. I know that might sound shocking to people. It's a great component.
There's lots of things that it can impact a sex life that don't have to impact a relationship. You can get old, you can get pregnant, you can have things where you're not able to have sex for a period of time for various medical reasons. Well, what happens to your relationship if that's all it was based on?
So the first time actually meant a little bit more to you.
Yeah, because I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with this person. So I thought it had the long goal of the ultimate marriage, procreation, having kids, everything that came with it.
So you didn't start out thinking casual sex was going to be your lifestyle.
See, this is proof that we're actually fighting our nature to push down the relationship-y aspect of it.
You look at the contrast between a man and a wife who a loving, committed household together, and they're being honest and they're trusting each other, and sex is a byproduct of that. And you compare that to...
I lost my virginity in the back of his Scooby-Doo looking van.
That is never going to be great sex.
We're sitting there, he's on top of me, and we hear these cans rattling, and it's a freaking bomb staring into the back window. So that was a nice surprise.
Did you keep going when you saw the bum?
Yeah, we did. We tried. It was uncomfortable though. I was cramping.
To the girl, that's not a loving, caring, trusting, beautiful environment. That's an act. That's just getting it done.
We both think that sex is very valuable and important, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to do this project in the first place, because it seems like a lot of people are having sex without thinking about it. Now, Patricia and I both agree that sex is best in a lifelong, committed relationship, but that's just our opinion. And this show isn't about our opinion. It's just about providing you some information about sex that maybe you haven't thought of before.
So after watching this video, if you decide that casual sex is for you, well then great. As long as we hope you're being safe about it and you are aware of the implications that are tied to it, at least some of them. And if you happen to be the person on the flip side who has decided that casual sex is not for you, we want you to be confident in knowing that your decision is just as important as the person who decided they're going to be engaging in it. And your decision has lots of benefits to it.
We wanted to share some information with you so you better understand why you're doing what you're doing. So whatever your decision is, we want it to be your decision. We don't want you to feel pressured into thinking or behaving a certain way by your friends or society.